Welcome to The Explainer. In today's world, let's be honest, your most valuable professional asset isn't what you already know. It's how fast you can learn something new. So today, we're going to decode this system that top performers use to master difficult, career-defining skills at a pretty incredible pace.
But before we even get to the techniques, we have to start with a huge mindset shift. You see, most of us, we default to thinking by analogy. We look at what's been done before, and we just try to make it a little bit better. And look, that's fine for getting by, but it's not a path to real innovation. Top performers, they do something completely different. They use first principles thinking. They break down really complex problems into their most basic fundamental truths and then build brand new solutions from the ground up.
So here's the framework we're going to unpack in this explainer. It's a complete system for learning skills fast. We'll start with why this is so critical right now. Then we'll dive into the three key stages: deconstruction, encoding, and application before we land on the one meta skill that, honestly, ties it all together.
Okay, so that brings us to our first section, the new competitive advantage. We're living in a knowledge economy, right? Any technical skill you have today could literally be outdated tomorrow. In this kind of environment, your career isn't really defined by what you know, but by how fast you can learn.
And this really hits home with what learning expert Jim Quick says. Adaptability is the new currency. And the engine that drives that adaptability? It's your ability to learn quickly and effectively. See, this isn't about raw intelligence. It's all about having a system.
Now for the first stage in the playbook, deconstruct and prioritize. This is where the top performers immediately separate themselves from the pack. They don't just dive into a subject head first. Nope. They first build a strategic plan for what and how they're going to learn.
And there's actually a name for this initial step. It's called meta-learning. It's the process of first learning how to learn the skill you're actually after. You know, what are the best books? What are the core ideas? It's like drawing a map to find the most efficient route before you even start the journey.
And a huge part of that map is applying the 80-20 rule. Maybe you've heard of it as the Pareto principle. It's this wild insight that about 80% of your results will come from just 20% of your efforts. High performers don't try to learn everything at once. They strategically zero in on that critical 20% of foundational concepts that unlock the other 80%. So how do they find that 20%? Well, they use the first principles framework. This is a process used by innovators like Elon Musk. It's all about stripping away all the conventional wisdom, all the assumptions, to get to the absolute core of a subject. You question everything until you're left with only the fundamental truths, and that's where you build your learning plan from.
Okay, so once you've figured out what to learn, you need the best techniques to actually make it stick. This brings us to stage 2, encode and retain. This is all about getting new knowledge into your brain and making sure it stays there.
And one of the most powerful tools for this is the Feynman technique. It was developed by the physicist Richard Feynman, and it's not about memorization at all. It's a process for testing your own understanding by forcing yourself to make things simpler.
It's a beautifully simple 4-step loop. You take a concept and you try to explain it in the simplest terms you can, almost like you're talking to a kid. And in that process, you will immediately find the parts you don't really get, your knowledge gaps. Then you just go back to the book or the video to fill those gaps and try again. The bottom line is, if you can't explain it simply, you don't really understand it well enough.
Now, this is a trap that so many of us fall into. We waste countless hours on passive review. You know, things like rereading your notes or highlighting a textbook. It feels productive, but all it does is create an illusion of knowing. It's not actually building the strong brain connections you need for recall. The most effective method is the total opposite, active recall. Instead of passively putting information in, this forces your brain to actively pull information out. It's that effort, that struggle to remember, that actually forges strong memories. Quizzing yourself is so much more effective than just reading a chapter 5 times.
Now, to make that knowledge permanent, you combine active recall with something called spaced repetition. This is a super simple but incredibly powerful idea. You review information at increasing intervals, so maybe after 1 day, then 3 days, then a week. This process basically works with your brain's natural tendency to forget, using it to drive information deep into your long-term memory.
And that leads us to the final stage of the playbook, apply and master. Look, knowing something in theory is one thing, but being able to actually do it when it counts is something else entirely. This stage is all about bridging that gap from knowledge to real-world skill.
Mastery isn't built by just mindlessly repeating something. It's built through deliberate practice. This is a super focused system for getting better.
It means you identify your single weakest point, design a specific exercise to challenge it, and then push yourself just beyond your comfort zone over and over again. You don't get better by doing what's easy, you get better by attacking what's hard.
At the end of the day, you have to remember that learning is absolutely not a spectator sport. You can't learn to ride a bike by reading a manual, right? You have to apply the skill directly in the real world where you're actually going to use it. Your brain just adapts way faster when it's practicing under real-world conditions.
So when you put all this together, you start to see that this whole playbook isn't just about learning one new thing. It's about developing the master skill that sits above everything else. It's about building your ultimate meta skill.
The ability to master hard skills quickly, this process of learning how to learn, is the ultimate competitive advantage in the 21st century, period. It's the one skill that ensures you can adapt and thrive no matter how much the world changes around you.
So we've just gone through the entire playbook. You have the system now. The only question left is, what will you build with it? What's the one hard skill that if you truly mastered it this year would have the single biggest impact on your career?